Up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. My name is Ed Harris, and I want to thank you for joining me on this beautiful Tuesday on the Everything Everyday Vegan channel here on Kitch. Um, yeah, what can I say? But I'm happy to be here, and it's a great day. Let me get these glasses off real quick. Um, Yeah, but I'm really excited today because I have some really, you know, let's just jump into it, right? Like I always say, when we do dishes, whether it be here on Kitch, YouTube, Instagram, wherever I'm cooking, I try to, one, make things fun. I try to make it visually appealing, and I also actually make it taste really good, right? And I show you that it can be done very easily. Now, today's Tuesday. I went to the farmers market on Saturday morning, and I got these beautiful things right here. These are purple potatoes through and through. So we're using these today. Yes, because where do you ever go and find shepherd's pie with purple potatoes? I've never seen it, and I've eaten at a ton of restaurants. I'm talking a ton. I've eaten in a ton of different countries, a ton of different cuisines, and this is new to me. So this is what I'm talking about. It's about having fun in the kitchen. It's about um, check my water. It's good to go. It's about being creative, having fun, and also making really good food. So that's what we're going to do today. So today we are doing my version of meal prepping and planning and a lentil shepherd's pie. Because normally shepherd's pie, it's ground beef, it's all that stuff. And we're going to do one just as good without any of the meat. All right. So a few things you want to pay attention to, and you want to really, take note with this. First things first is cooking your lentils. Now I went ahead and I cooked these ahead of time just because I wanted it to be done and out of the way. When you cook your lentils, you want to make sure that there's still a little bite to it. All right, super important because that's going to give you the toothiness that you're looking for, right? That you might miss or crave if you're used to eating meat. All right. The second thing is the mushrooms that I'm using. All right, you want to use a very meaty kind of mushroom. These are black oysters, um, and they might not look black, but don't worry about the name. That's just what they're called. They're a little bit more. They almost look like mini king trumpets or king oyster mushrooms, I should say. Right, so they have a really nice toothiness to them. And then cutting them up, you want to mince it up, chop it up really nice. So when you saute them and you get really nice caramelization on them, they create this little ground beef kind of idea, right? So between the lentils and our mushrooms, we are covered with our protein, we're covered with our texture. All right, super important. Okay. Um, when I try to no, let me rephrase that. When I create dishes that normally has meat in it, I try to figure out things that mimic that mouthfeel, that texture, without actually using super processed ingredients, right? Like we could have easily went and grabbed plant-based ground beef. We could have did patties, sausages. Like there are tons of things we could have used, but this right here is the most healthiest way to go about doing this, the most nutritious, and it'll make you feel good because you're actually creating food for your family and for yourself that is really good for you. You know what I mean? So let's get that going. So first thing we're gonna do is get our potatoes cooking because we need that to be nice and soft. So I'm gonna just cube these up just a little bit more. And while we're cubing this up, I'm gonna turn on my pan so it can get nice and hot. All right. So with the potatoes, we want them to cook quickly. So I'm gonna, cut them sort of small. And you see, like I said, let me, yeah, I'll wait. See, purple through and through. Like, how pretty is that? How pretty is that? Like, it's awesome, right? So the farmer, I was, shopping like I normally do, and he's like, "Oh, I have some purple potatoes. I think you might like." And he knew, right? He was like, and they're purple through and through because sometimes people sell potatoes, or you'll find purple potatoes and it's only the skin that's purple. Wah, wah. I don't want those, because the only way those are going to be cool is if I cook them with the skin, and for this dish that won't work, right? So I love that. So he always have really unique stuff, and it's always nice. So this is another reason why I'm such an advocate of the farmers market. Like, it's a place where you find amazing things, and you just know that it's really fresh, it's really good, you know, all that good stuff, all that jive. You know what I mean? I'm really excited. I don't know if you guys know this, ladies and gentlemen. Friday is my birthday. All right, Friday is my birthday. So I don't know what my wife has planned, because what we do is, when it's her birthday, she sits back, puts her feet up, and relax, and I take care of everything. So it's only fair that that's done for me too. So I have no idea what's going on Friday, or the weekend for that matter, because I know it's going to be a party. All right, not an actual party, but you catch my drift. You know what I mean? So we're gonna turn up, all right, and we're gonna get down with the get down. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to that. So potatoes are cut up. Let's get our pot rolling boil here. I put just a little bit of water, a little bit of salt in the water, just because when you're cooking, you want to pay attention to your seasoning, right? And it's super important, right? It's super important that you try to season every step of the way. I'm not saying to heavily season it, but I'm saying add just enough that as you're cooking and every bite you take, there's flavor. You know what I mean? You don't want to skip seasoning your food. So that's that. Potato is good to go, and you want to start that first, because you need to have the potatoes ready. So as soon as your filling is ready, you can top it off, throw it into the oven. The other thing I would say is to kind of make this a sort of one pot, two pot situation. You can use a pan like this, and what I like to do is cook the filling, leave it right in here, top it with the potato, and slide it into the oven, because the handle, everything can go into the oven. So it just makes cleanup a little bit easier versus dirtying up an actual baking pan. All right. So we're gonna play around with that and today and see how that goes. All right. So we're gonna add a little bit of oil here, nice and smoky. All right. And then we're gonna go in with our celery, our garlic, our onions. We're gonna let this saute just for a little bit more oil there, and we're gonna switch this around so you can get a better view of what's going on. All right. Okay. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, while you're here and you are joining me, you can always come up to the chef's table and say hi. Okay. We don't bite. All right. The only thing we bite is our food, and we tear it up. All right. So we want to cook this down real nice, get it real nice and soft. All right. I'm gonna crank this fire up to maximum. All right. Put these over here. Now the other thing with the potatoes, let me get my milk. Some people make actual mashed potatoes to top their shepherd's pie. I like to do half and half. So my potatoes are not like fully whipped and like creamy. I like a little bit of texture in my potatoes, so I'll just like lightly crush it, add some milk to it, the butter, all that good stuff, and then leave it like that. So as you're biting it, you're getting like chunks of potato versus this really smooth, because this is already going to be really soft. So texture is a big thing, especially when you're doing plant-based food. All right, structure texture, it's a big deal. Okay, big deal. So the carrots I got from the farmer's market as well. They are so sweet. So sweet. Whew. Delicious. All right. I'm going to just lightly season this with a little bit of salt, just a pinch, you know. Where's my salt? All right. Put that there. See what's going on here. Da 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 da. Okay. And since we have this small pot, all right, I want to develop a little bit of flavor. All right. So, how do you develop flavor? You ask. I'm glad you asked that question. The way you develop flavor is by caramelization. Okay. And caramelization is simply developing color on what it is that you're cooking. So the browner it gets, the more flavor it gets. Now, we don't want to burn it, we want to caramelize it. There's a big difference. All right. So I'm going to transfer this just for a second. And of course, I'm going to tweak my recipe as I go because, sometimes, you know, things happen and you change your mind in the middle of cooking something. I don't know if you do, but I do. I kind of do that a lot. But, it's okay. All right. So you can tell by the way this looks that it is ready to go, right? The onions, the garlic has cooked down, the celery is soft. Carrots, of course, is always going to have a bite to them. They don't break down as quickly as other vegetables do, and that's totally fine. We don't mind that. So what I'm going to do is kind of put everything to the side so I can scrape it out. And then we're going to do our mushrooms, add everything back in. All right. Because I'm using my induction burner. If I was doing the stove and we were doing a bigger pan, then I'll be able to do everything one shot in the pan. All right. Look at the potatoes now. How pretty is that? All right. Let's see if it's ready. Ooh, they are ready. So I'm gonna turn this off. All right. Let that just sit for a second. Let's get the oil in here for the mushrooms. Okay. We want to make sure this oil gets nice and hot. All right. We're gonna wait till that gets hot because the minute we add mushrooms, and this is super important when you're cooking mushrooms. All right. Super important. You want to get color on your mushrooms. When mushrooms steam and they're wet and soggy, they don't taste that good. All right. You can season them and they'll have salt, flavor, or whatever. But to really get flavor on your mushrooms, you need a hot pan. You need hot oil, and you need to get some color on them. All right. And when you add them to the pan, don't move them around. Give them a second. Let them actually caramelize on the bottom before, right? Before you stir them up. Okay. Do our pepper, and I love cooking with fresh cracked black pepper. See how much I put in there? A lot. Okay. Next, I'm gonna put in that, which is rosemary and thyme. Okay. Now, this is starting. Whew, that smells good already. Oh my goodness. That smells really, really good. Really good. Did you ever see Nacho Libre? Really good. Whew, I love that movie. All right. Never mind that. See that color? And smells amazing. And this happened very quickly because we had a very hot pan that we started with. All right. Almost choked there. It's just hot. See, veggies go back in. Didn't even take that long. All right. So I'm gonna mix this up real quick. I'm going to add the rest of our seasoning. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. Now we can turn this down because everything is basically, I'd say 90% ready to go. Right? Look at that. Beautiful color from the carrots, yellow and orange carrots. You have the mushrooms. Okay. We're going to turn this down. We're going to add our tomato paste. If you don't have tomato paste, you can use fresh tomatoes. Just dice them up and cook them down a little bit before you add your broth. All right. This is going to add color as well. It's going to add flavor. All right. And once it hits the pan, it's going to start browning even a little bit more. Might stick a little bit, totally fine. We're going to deglaze it with the vegetable broth. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay. And gently give this a stir. Right? Make sure you scrape everything off the sides. Waste not, want not. All right? So scrape everything down. And basically, we just want this to come to a boil so that everything can come together and thicken up just a little bit. So we're not going to rush this. All right? That's why I turned it down. We want this to work nicely for us. Okay? Yes, look at that. Delicious goodness. Okay, so while that's doing its thing, let's work on the potatoes. So I'm going to strain our potatoes, all right, because they're ready. Let me get my towel. I'll be right back. Okay, so potatoes are in here. I'm going to move this down. Let me get a spoon. We're going to add fresh cracked pepper. So this is literally, we're making mashed potatoes of sorts, right? We're making mashed potatoes. So remember, we already seasoned the water just a little bit, so we're not putting too much salt, okay? And then we're going to just crush this up. Let me switch this around here so we get a better view. Hold on. Come on, here we go. All right, cool. So, see that? So literally, you can do that. You can put it in a ricer, a potato ricer. You can, I like doing it this way, like I said, because I like texture. So this gives me a bit of both, We can still get the chunks. And then, we're not dirtying up another piece of equipment, right? Like a big piece of equipment. So potatoes are smashed enough. Now we're going to use our butter. I'm going to just kind of cut this just a little bit so it's evenly divided, so I'm not overworking the mashed potatoes too much. So I'm just going to slide it, drop it in. I just got my knives sharpened. So, whew, baby. They are slicing and dicing. Now, before we get too crazy, we have to add our lentils, right? This is about a cup of lentils that I'm going to just mix in here. Yeah. Turn this off because our lentils is fully cooked and nicely seasoned. So what I did with the lentils was I took some bay leaves, some water, some celery, like a nice little broth that I cooked them in, celery, carrots, onions, bay leaves, and I cooked my lentils in that, right? So, and this you can just eat like this. Put it on some rice, use some bread. This could be like a sloppy Joe. So butter is in, melting. Now let's add our milk. Not too much. All right, just enough to get this together. All right, look at that. Yes, you hear it? Yes. So just like that, our smashed potatoes are done, right? Okay. Potatoes ready. Lentil is ready. So remember what I was saying, right? You can use a baking pan or you can leave it on this saute pan like this. Everything can go into the oven, so we don't have to worry about that, right? So I'm going to crank this up just a little bit so we can tighten this liquid. And once we get this liquid nice and tight, we can top it with the potatoes, because literally that's the second to last step. All right. Let's put this over here. I'm gonna take some Tuscany seasoning. All right. This is it's like an Italian seasoning. All right. I'm gonna use some of this to sprinkle on the top like that, just to drive that delicious flavor. All right. See how it's bubbling up? Let's switch the camera so you can see better what's going on here. See that bubbling right there? So let's move this to the side and see. The liquid is still a little loose, so we're gonna give it maybe another 30 seconds to a minute, and that should be plenty. All right. Yes. Okay, we're looking good. So we flatten it so we have beautiful surface to work with. Smells so good. Let's taste it. Let's taste it. Right. Oh my goodness. This is delicious. This is so delicious. Okay, we're gonna turn it off. Oven is on at 375, right? Um, let's top this. Actually, before we top it, let's get some fresh herbs. Let's get some fresh herbs. So I have the leaves of the celery that we cut up earlier and some fresh parsley right here. So I'm going to use this to add a layer of freshness to this dish. All right. So this goes off. Boom. I'll move this out of the way so it's not blocking us. All right. Slide this back into view. And then we're going to chop this baby up real quick. All right. This is gonna be so good, guys. I can't wait for you to make this dish. It's so tasty. And you saw everything that we did. It's so simple. And because the title, like it says, meal planning and meal prepping, this dish, you make it, you can freeze the whole thing. You put it away, all right? But what I would do is I would make it in smaller batches so you can pull it out, defrost it, and actually use the whole thing when you defrost it. All right, but you can totally, or even make this filling ahead of time and put that in containers and put it away in the freezer. Pull it out, defrost it, put it into your baking pan, make the mashed potato fresh, top it, pop it into the oven. That cuts your dinner time down or your lunchtime down dramatically. You know what I mean? So there are tons of ways you can meal prep this stuff. You can cut all of the vegetables ahead of time, your carrots, your celery. You can have the potatoes peeled, soaking in water, for a day or two. I mean, there are a lot of things you can prep and just make this really simple, really easy. Okay. I see someone typing. Hopefully, it's an awesome question. I love questions. And yes, I am drinking out of a mason jar. Okay, let's see. Okay, so don't be shy with the questions, people. All right. So herbs are done. We can put some on top or we can put some inside. I'm gonna put it inside because this has to bake. And on top, you can save some for after it comes out of the oven, right? Key. Because if you put it on top now, it's gonna get discolored, and it's like, what's the point? This is gonna get discolored too, but it's inside, so it doesn't really matter. You can't tell, right? So that's the difference. Okay, so we have our potato. So literally, right? We're gonna just kind of do that, right? Little by little, and just, ooh, this looks so pretty. Oh my goodness. Come on, people. Come on, people. Come on, people. You know what I mean? Right? So you notice what I'm doing. I'm taking little bits of it and I'm dropping it, because if we were to just scrape this out and drop it in right now, all of it is gonna weigh down, and you're gonna end up pushing the lentils up and not really getting to cover it up the way you're supposed to, right? I'm not worrying about the edges as much as I'm worrying about everywhere else. Okie dokie. Okay. I am so happy with this dish. And I'll tell you a secret, ladies and gentlemen, because, a lot of people, are not honest about what they do and how they do things. But a lot of the times when I do dishes here on Kitsch, it's the first time I've done it. And I just love that challenge, So, like I said, these potatoes, I've never done it with these kind of potatoes before. I was like, how is it going to come out? Is it going to look weird? But, that's the whole, and this is what I tell everyone that follows what I do. It's all about being creative. It's all about taking chances. You know what I mean? Pushing the envelope, right? Food should be fun. Thank you. Food should be fun. It shouldn't be a chore. Granted, not everybody loves to cook. I get it. Not everybody knows how to cook, but you have to do it anyway. So the fact that you have to do it, why not do something that makes you happy, right? So if it's experimenting, if it's doing food differently, then 100% go for it. You know what I mean? Go for it. Like, this is so cool. And then the kids, like, visually, this looks out of this world. It looks like some kind of futuristic dish, because who's doing purple potatoes for their shepherd's pie? Everyone's gonna go with Yukon Gold. They're gonna go with Idaho. They're gonna go with something like that. And you know, why do that when you can do this? So this goes into the oven, right? We can cover it up or we can leave it open. If we leave it open, the top is going to get crispy, crusty, which is totally fine. But what I like to do is I like to cover it first so it gets a little bit of steam action and it doesn't dry out on the top as fast. And then when I feel like the pie is done, right? When I feel like the pie is done, then I uncover it and I let the top get a little bit of crusty action. You know what I mean? But not prior. Okay? So that's it, people. I wish you could see this when it comes out, how it's gonna look. But I trust that it's gonna look amazing and it's gonna taste amazing. All right. And mom, if you're watching, just let me know. I'll send you a piece. I don't know if it's gonna last, because as soon as the kids see it, they're gonna want to dig in. And I know I want to dig in as soon as it comes out of the oven. So we'll see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I just want you to know that it's possible, it's doable, it's easy to do plant-based food and to do it really well. And it's not as hard as it might seem to be. And if you have any problems, any issues, or any questions, I'm here for you. Just send me a message. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me on Facebook, wherever you find me. I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent when it comes to social media. We have a question. Looking good, Chef Ed. Well, thanks, Faye. So kind of you. That's so kind of you. Please save me some. All right. I'll save you some. Tomorrow, we are doing kale chips, right? It's a simple one. It's super easy. It's like 34 ingredients. It's not a big deal. Anybody can do it. I'm going to try and find some different types of kale. Lucinto, dinosaur kale, Russian kale. I'll see what we find. Um, Either way, it's gonna be cool. And with chill kips, you can literally flavor it any way you want. You know, this is gonna be in the oven for about 20 minutes, and because it's not deep, it's not gonna take that long. You know what I mean? And everything is already cooked. So basically, the only reason we're putting it in the oven is to kind of get it set, right? So that way, when we dip into it, it's just one beautiful cohesive dish. All right. Once again, thank you so much for checking out the Everyday Vegan channel here on Kitch. My name is Ed Harris, and I thank you. And I hope to see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, same channel, where we do some flavored kale chips. We're probably gonna do some cheesy kale chips. We're gonna do some sesame flavor. You name it. We're gonna get funky like we always do, right? So have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Be safe, be well, cook well, eat well. All right. Ciao. And thank you.